Now, again, we're here today to talk about this I-285, I-20 West Interchange. And I'm grateful that we were able to get some of the experts who are working on this project here with us today. And so the project team, again, the I-25, I-20 West Interchange is a mix of GDOT, Georgia Department of Transportation, project managers, Donald Stoll, Benita Patel, and GDOT Communications Manager and spokesperson Cal Collins, and several other consultants and staff. And as you all know, I mean, you can just imagine the number of contractors and companies that it takes to do the kind of project that's happening here. You've probably been on the west side of I-20 as well and seen the construction that's happening over there. So all of the different projects happening, not just in anticipation of the World Cup. Many people think that this is all just about, the World Cup coming. Right? No. It's about us having more ease, greater ease of transportation, ease of getting around. That's a great thing, right? So we're grateful for all the staff that's making this happen. But this is a remnant of the staff who actually make this happen. So representing the project team today, our consultant, our project manager, Paul McLeary. Good. McLeary. Who's here. We also have communications manager Courtney Thompson, and we have public information officer Chanel Ennis. So they are here today as subject matter experts. Now they're going to take some time and kind of lay some things out for you. Have a presentation to go through. We will have opportunity for question and answer at the end. So we hope that you'll have some questions that you can relate to them as we go along. But won't you please put your hands together and welcome our panelists who are coming to talk about this I-285, I-20 interchange today. Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon. Again, I'm Courtney Thompson. I work in communications and support of the project for the consultant team. Thank you so much to the EpiCenter for having us out today. And of course to you all, the community, for coming out just to hear about the project and make sure you're getting any of your questions answered. As Mr. Boyd mentioned, sometimes there's certainly a little bit more frustration during construction, but for the greater benefit for everyone as we ultimately get through construction here. And we're moving pretty quickly. And again, the project is led by Georgia DOT project managers, Donald Stoll and Benita Patel. So today, what we'll cover is a quick project overview. So a little bit of the background of the project, how we got here, what the project is constructing, what you'll see going on throughout 2026, as far as construction activities. Then we'll talk a little bit about workforce development. Of course, we've got some public outreach, a little plug for the work that Chanel and I do with Paul every day. How to stay connected to the project. So in addition to community meetings that we host, things like this, how can y'all stay in touch day to day and through GDOT's channels? And then we have a light touch on adjacent projects. So as Dr. Boyd mentioned, there's a number of projects happening on 285. We ask for a little bit of grace because our scope is the West Interchange Project, but we can take comments. So over here at the table with the GDOT tablecloth, we can write down questions that we can submit to our construction partners for the adjacent projects if there's additional questions. So how did we get here? That's a big question a lot of the time. So in 2016, the Major Mobility Investment Program, which is also called the MMIP, was developed. It was developed before that, but it started in 2016. And what it is a suite of projects to improve mobility, congestion, enhance safety, which is, of course, GDOT's. It's always at the forefront of GDOT's mind. We want to make sure that people can get through the state safely. And then we think about the increase in population for Metro Atlanta, for the state, and then the increase in freight traffic. So the projects are primarily interchange reconstructions, some express lanes projects, the interstate widenings, and the commercial vehicle lanes project. From I-285, there were 3 advanced improvement projects that were broken out, and those created improvements in advance of the express lanes, right? So we've got some bridge widenings and reconstructions that happened in advance just to improve travel before we ever get to construction there. And what we've got now, there are 5 that are completed and open to traffic. We have 4 that are under construction, and another 4 that are in their preliminary engineering and environmental process. So they haven't They're not quite through procurement yet, but in general, this is the Major Mobility Investment Program. GDOT does do a lot of other maintenance and projects throughout the state, but this was just focused on congestion in some of those key areas. And that is it for this one. All right. So next up, the project highlights. This is what we're here for today, right? So the West Interchange Project is constructing where I-285 and I-20 meet on the west side. Of course, y'all know we've got a twin project on the east side. That one's going to wrap up construction later this year. It's gone really, really great. But being local, y'all know that there's a lot of those pesky, like, left-hand exits. There's the loop ramps that are currently within the interchange. And those things just no longer support the design of this project and the traffic flow that's coming through it. It was originally something that worked out, not necessarily something that works for the number of vehicles that this interchange is seeing now. So those are going to be removed, and they will be replaced with more direct connections between 20 and 285. So that's where you see some of those That's where you see some of those flyovers coming through. Additionally, there's a new connecting lane system. You might hear that referred to as CD lanes or collector distributor lanes. We're going to get into a little bit more detail on that one later with Chanel, but those will improve the flow of traffic along I-20 leading up to Fulton Industrial. And then we get a lot of questions about that improvement in particular, as well as what's going to happen as you're traveling east. And then there are additional lane miles coming along I-20 from Factory Shoals east to H.E. Holmes, and then 285, some more concrete pavement replacement between MOK and then over to Hollowell. So this is what we call our stick map. That's kind of the very basic one that explains to you what the project limits are, where those roadway improvements are happening. But if y'all really want to know what it's going to look like, I'm a visual person. It's so hard to understand what it's going to look like when it's done. The project website, as well as GDOT's YouTube, and we'll have links to those later, they have the visualization that flies the entire corridor, north-south and east-west. So as we discussed, there's a lot of bridges here. So 19 total bridges that are being touched. 6 will be widened. There's 2 that are going to be reconstructed and 11 new construction bridges. So, of course, bridges are kind of the star of the show here, but we have a lot more that's happening, and you can see most of them identified here. They're pointed out yellow. Those are the widening bridges, the bridges that will be widened, and then the reconstruction bridges in that kind of teal color. And right there within the interchange, that dotted circle shows the interchange proper. Over here, thank you. So again, just a little bit more detail about what we're doing. We've got the 19 bridges. There's 18 proposed noise barriers. Now, proposed is kind of the key word here, because until the community votes and says, yes, we want these in our backyards, they're just proposed. But that's something that we'll get to coming up in the next year, and we'll absolutely have more information about that for you all as we get to our community meetings, and then just information directly for those voters. We'll have 54 retaining walls. And then again, we talked about the impacts that are east-west and north-south. So it runs about 6.5 miles on I-20 and 2.5 miles on 285. With the number of bridges that are going to have 2 lanes, or the ramps that'll have 2 lanes, that comes to about 70 lane miles of improvements. And we do also, just throughout the year, if you follow GDOT social media, we try to drop a little bit more information about, like, the amount of concrete or rebar. There really is a lot that goes into getting all of this project built. So, and then there's always, why are we doing it? So safety, of course, is top of mind. The project aims to enhance safety here by making these more direct connections. Y'all will see less weaving. People aren't suddenly going from the right lane and, oh, the exit's on the left, right? We're not crossing 5 lanes of traffic anymore. We're getting back into a regular cadence of how you exit the interstate or make the connection to the next one. And then operations. So, of course, we know that there are some slowdowns here when we're talking about those loop ramps, when we're talking about how to access where we're going from 285 to 20. There's slowdowns, and there's slowdowns with the freight. So this new design and configuration will improve that and allow people to keep moving, allow trucks to keep moving, and then just fewer conflict points between all vehicles, but especially when we're talking about those passenger vehicles and freight vehicles. All right, so then our project timeline. And this is one of the big questions that we get. If you have been with us for a while, you know that, of course, we started back in 2018 with the environmental process for the project. And that really gets kicked off publicly with our public information open house series. So those happened in 2020. And then in 2021, the right-of-way acquisition process started. In 2022, once the design was closer to where we are for this type of project. This one is design build finance. Once we were closer to where that design lands, we had a public hearing open house, and that's where we show you all the design, what it's going to look like, what we intend to do here, and then like any detour information, things like that come up. So those series of meetings were held in 2022. In 2023, our federal partners made the decision that the NEPA document was approved. So that says that GDOT's done their due diligence as far as environmental commitments to get the project going. And then in 2024, the project was awarded to our construction partners, C.W. Matthews. So with that award, because of this project type, with it being design build, they can finish the project's design as well as start construction, and they can have an overlap there. Saves a little bit of time and money in the overall process. So we started final design after that award in 2024 into 2025, and then construction started in 2025. Of course, that started with a lot of clearing and just prepping the site so that we could bring in and stage equipment, make sure we were ready to go, and then later in 2025, we got started really with those bridges. Immediately, you guys saw pile driving, and we have bents and columns that go up. So that's where we are now, 2026, well into construction and looking forward. So this one is slated to wrap up in 2030. And I think things are going pretty well. So our ongoing construction activities, as we talked about, the bridge work is a lot of what's happening here. You've seen it as you're driving through the interchange, right? Those bents and columns, those get up. The teams build those foundations for those new flyovers. And then recently, this spring, they started with setting beams. So they've got those very, very long concrete beams. Beam setting is some of the most exciting part of a project as it's going, because you can really start to see where those bridges are going to come in and how it's going to look and how that's going to affect your commute and what it's going to look like moving forward. So a lot of the beam setting and bridge work is ongoing. Some additional clearing activities have been underway. There are traffic shifts that are in place. So y'all will see those. And what they do is just allow some space so that we can bring in equipment and safely separate the traveling public from construction sites. We know that we can't interrupt everyone trying to get where they're going. So we like to just make sure that there's still safe distance between construction work and everyone still continuing in those open lanes of traffic. And then we've also got some construction of some temporary retaining walls. And then, of course, there's the daytime beam setting over the interior of the interchange. There's also some nighttime beam setting. So the way that this works, and we've got a really cool video to show y'all. We're really proud of this one. The way that this works is the crews bring beams in, stage them along the interstate, and they only have 15 to 20 minutes to get those in the air and get them placed where they're going to eventually be, and will become the driving surface for the new bridge. So if we can get to the next slide.
Hey, Georgia motorists. Today, we'll quickly explore how crews safely set beams for a new bridge. This work activity happens during the construction phase of a project and is one of the most critical phases of construction. Upon the beam's arrival, crews work together to secure the work zone. Once the site is secured, trucks carrying the beams arrive in sequence. Before the first beam is lifted, traffic in close proximity is temporarily slowed down. These traffic pacing holds typically last up to 20 minutes at a time, allowing for crews to move beams over the roadway safely. Crews conducting the crane will slowly lift the beam off the truck and move it into its designated position with assisted guidance from other crews along the beam structures. This process repeats until all beams are in place and helps maintain a predictable pattern so both crews and drivers know the sequence. Once all beams are set, crews will perform final checks, verifying connections and alignment before demobilizing the crane and opening traffic fully.
And that's how it's done in 1 minute. But of course, these take 20 minutes. They're about 20 minutes where traffic is slowed. And then just over several weeks or several months, the crews have been working to get these beams up. So this is looking west or kind of about northwest from the interior of the interchange. And you'll see where these beams are going in and starting to go in over traffic. And there's one of the cranes there. And then the next slide, it's essentially the same view, but from a different direction. So we can see where some of those connections between 20 and 285 are being made. And now I'm going to turn things over to Chanel for a little bit of additional information.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Courtney. So in addition to the nighttime paces that Courtney was just talking about, we also have occasional daytime pacing operations for controlled rock blasting. Those take place between 10:30 a.m. and noon, Monday through Thursday. And they usually last up to 20 minutes. And traffic has to return to its natural flow before another one can be enacted. Okay. The current pacing locations, go back. The current pacing locations are 285 southbound from South Cobb Drive to the interchange, and then 20 eastbound from Riverside Parkway to the interchange. These locations will change as operations move, but those changes will be announced on our weekly traffic impact report.
Add to that, currently, we don't have any blasting operations. That'll continue for at least the next month. So we don't have anything identified that we need to do blasting on the east side of 285 or the south side of 285. There is potentially some rock up on the northeast quadrant of the interchange. So when we get in there and start excavating through there could be a few more controlled blasts, but the majority of that is over and past, and so it's good news to report.
One of the other major activities for this project that takes place outside of the interchange is the relocation of Harwell Road. So in order to make room for the new 20 eastbound to 285 northbound ramp, Harwell Road needs to be shifted to the east approximately 50 feet. The developer's phasing plan allows Harwell Road to remain open while this relocation takes place, but it'll remain open to pedestrians and drivers, and the active construction zone will be barrier separated. Now, as a part of our environmental commitment, the developer has a workforce development program that includes on-the-job training. We have a goal to have at least 10% of our workforce be residents of the project limits. All openings for trade and support roles are listed on the contractor's website, and you can access it by the QR code on that pamphlet. We also have some pamphlets on the table to the side if you'd like to take some with you. And you can also email our workforce development manager, Ricardo Linton, at the email address on the screen. Okay. Now, this project has a very robust outreach plan to make sure that the community has avenues to stay engaged and informed. You can sign up to receive our weekly email sendouts. So we send out traffic impact reports every Friday. We also send out a monthly project newsletter that just has construction updates, ways to contact us, some safety tips, little fun facts. And we also include like a photo of the month, video of the month, that sort of thing, so you can see what's going on. We also host quarterly community meetings, which is just another opportunity for us to get into the community, kind of give you an update on what's going on, and an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. Okay. So here is the URL for the project website. We also have the email address and hotline number here on the screen, as well as on your sheets. Those come directly to Courtney and myself. So if you have any questions, you can shoot them there. We'll coordinate behind the scenes with the correct subject matter experts and get your response. And then you can always come and see us. So our office address is right here at the bottom. We're over on Shirley Drive off of Fulton Industrial. And you can come see us Monday through Friday between 8 and 4. You have a question?
Thank you. Would this be the same website we can check for lane closures? I've noticed a lot every weekend we're having lane closures and things like that. So would this be the same website to check?
Yes. So when you go to the website, there's a tab on the top that says current construction impacts, and it'll have all of the impacts for the upcoming week. We update it 7 days at a time. And then there's an additional tab that has forecasted impacts. So that kind of gives you a 2 to 3 week look ahead of what we're anticipating. And just note that those are subject to change. The most up-to-date version is going to be that current week. But we do like to post the ones that are upcoming if we're aware. So here are just some of our frequently asked questions. So we're just going to run through those really quickly. So what to expect during construction. Travelers may experience delays, lane closures, and like we said, those short pacing operations. All motorists are advised to exercise caution, follow all posted signs, and as Courtney said, check Georgia 511 before getting on the road. We will have advanced public notice for any detours or major traffic shifts, and those will be anywhere from 2 weeks to at least 30 days before they're enacted. Residents may experience some level of noise and vibration during construction activities, especially when those activities utilize heavy equipment. But vibration is monitored during construction to make sure that we stay within the allowable limits. Next question, will my property be acquired? So all of the right-of-way and easements required for this project have already been purchased. So if you have not been contacted by one of our right-of-way specialists, we won't need anything additional. As for noise barriers, all existing noise barriers will be replaced with concrete ones that are up to GDOT's current standard. The metal ones are no longer up to industry standards, so we're replacing all of those with concrete. And then any additional noise barriers that we would recommend based on the conclusion of this current environmental process will need to be voted on by the benefited receptors. And then are we making any improvements to the 285 southbound to 20 westbound ramp? If you take that ramp, you know that it's awful. So yes, we are making improvements in 3 major ways. The first of which is that we'll be widening that ramp from 1 lane to 2. Second is that the radius will be increased, which just basically means that the curve won't be as sharp. And then that ramp will be the beginning of the new connecting lanes that Courtney was talking about. So basically you'll have a stretch of roadway that'll allow you to come up to speed before you have to merge left to continue going 20 west. And then we just have a short note about our adjacent projects. So the 285 West Side Rebuild project is being managed by GDOT's District 7 office. The project is replacing the existing pavement along 285. It also will be replacing the shoulders, the concrete median barrier, the glare screen, and the guardrails. So you can see on this map here the limits of each of those projects. So we are the dark blue kind of in the middle. And then we have the project above and immediately below us that are already under construction. And all of their lane closures are also posted on their website, which you can access at the QR code here. But on our website, we do have a link at the top that says adjacent projects, and you can access it from there as well. And that's all that I have. So we can open the floor for questions.
All right. Great. Hey, thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate your time for coming just down the street to come talk to the community this afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Corey Webb. I serve here at the Riverside EpiCenter as our Community Engagement Manager. This is our Epic Talks Lunch and Learn series that we produce every third Tuesday of the month here from noon to 1 for the community to be able to gain valuable insights such as this. So that way we can all know and understand what's happening in the world around us. here in the brand new city of Mableton, but also in the state of Georgia and the greater metro Atlanta area. So thank you so much, everybody, for being a panelist and having all that information. I know all of you have a heap of questions. I know I have somebody here who had a question first, so I'm going to start there, and then we'll go as your hands go up, okay?
Thank you so much. Question, the area between Fulton Industrial and 285 that's been cleared on both sides, is that planning for the barriers or lane expansions? Or can you guys speak to that?
Yeah, I'll cover that one. So the area between 285 and Fulton Industrial, we will have roadway widening on the north side. So where you see most of the excavation that's been done and the temporary slopes that have been graded up to the fence at the top, that is where the connecting lanes from the 285 ramps heading west on I-20, that's where they will be located. And so that will be a 2-lane ramp system from 285 to just short of Fulton Industrial. Then it will split, and you can either split left and take 20 westbound or split right and take Fulton Industrial. On the south side, there is very little widening on the south side. Most of that is being cleared for drainage, new ITS or intelligent transportation systems, and signing.
One other question. Is some of the funding for these projects coming from the Biden infrastructure bill? Is that providing any of the funding for you guys?
So do you have a good answer, Courtney?
I'm pretty sure, I think I'm good here. So that one, because of when this program, like the MMIP that we talked about, that came from the Transportation Funding Act back in 2016. So this one is a little bit earlier than the more recent administration.
All right. We have another question over here.
Thank you so much for the information. My question is not related to this, but is related to the movement of people. For several years, it has been suggested or proposed that the railroad system needs to be improved from Hamilton Homes towards Douglasville or even beyond. This may be outside of your project, but I think this is something that we need to consider. You've been considering just for the road traffic. You've been claiming grounds. But if we are to increase or extend the railroad system further west, maybe even to Birmingham, I don't know. Do you have any things to say about that, please? Thank you.
So do you mean specifically MARTA, or do you mean like the
railroad system? The railroad system.
Okay. Yeah, that's a question that the DOT gets a lot. And of course, we always talk about public transit and what that looks like. Georgia DOT coordinates with all of our transit providers. So whether that is the State Road and Tollway Authority, so CERTA runs a lot of those big commuter buses, as well as, MARTA. So we're talking about within Atlanta, we've got their buses and the streetcar and the trains. Those things just have to, there's coordination with them and DOT. But DOT does not formally build transit infrastructure. So, of course, as these projects are built, though, the ones that DOT does have control of, they're built not to preclude any of those extensions. And so that's just, feedback that always goes to MARTA, and we'll, absolutely be sure to share that. Thank you.
Yeah, just point of clarification on that. So Georgia DOT and Federal Highways are the folks that are building the state highways and the interstate system. All of the MARTA facilities, that's all City of Atlanta. So everything with MARTA, encourage you to contact City of Atlanta. That's the direct route.
All right, we'll have a question here in the back.
Phil Barnett, thank you guys for coming out. I got a couple of questions, but one major question is the eminent domain factor of this project, and how does it affect this area precisely when the construction is going on?
I'll allude back to, as Chanel pointed out earlier, we've acquired all the right-of-way for this project, so that's completed and done. So all the right-of-way agreements are complete. So there's going to be no further eminent domain nor right-of-way acquisition to build the job.
And to just add some detail to that, so the majority of the acquisitions that were needed for this project are what we call strip takes. So it may be a few feet here that the homeowner is compensated for to give GDOT right-of-way, temporary or permanent easement. So for this project, we only had what we called three total takes. So it's 2 homes, 1 business, and those have been cleared for a while now, so there'll be nothing additional.
Okay. I think I saw another hand over here.
Thank you. I'm Kristen, also from Mableton. I drive down 285 South past 20 2 days a week, and it's kind of remarkable seeing the construction and how quick everything's going up. So I know you said we can go on the website to see what it's going to look like. Will it look more kind of like how it is on 400 and 285? How you were saying how it splits, and then you can go this way to get on 285 and that way? It's going to be more like Spaghetti Junction, like up north in 285 and 85? Just kind of curious.
I would classify it more as Spaghetti Junction. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, we all know Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta. Like, come on now. They're working hard and it's going fast.
Just a follow-up on the previous question. Would you have what do you call it now? The express lanes on these new constructions? Would there be some express lanes on this new construction?
So flip to the MMIP slide.
Great question.
I gotcha.
So, yeah. So the ultimate plan, so there's a lot of projects in here, but the ultimate plan, the biggest part, is bi-directional or both directions, express lanes on 285 from I-20, 285 west side, all the way around the top of Atlanta to I-20, 285 on the east side.
So it's like a flyover.
They're going to be elevated lanes on both sides. Now, that's subject to final design, okay?
Gotcha.
Because in final design, we try to get as smart as we can, right? So we take the concept and we finalize it. So
who cares? That little pesky thing called physics. No, just build it.
yeah. So that is the ultimate plan. This project here on the east side will go first, followed by this project from 400 around to the west side. So these 2 interchange projects, while significant in themselves, this interchange project here on the west side is the second largest road project in Georgia's history.
Oh, wow.
It's very large. But they are the projects to prepare for the express lanes. And these projects are in procurement, planning, and engineering as we speak. They're well progressed.
Very good. Thank you. Oh, we have one more question over here on the other side of the room. Hey, folks, panel, thank you again so much for all of this wonderful information. I would also say to our audience, situations like this are also a great opportunity to make sure that we are involved with our local elected officials, that we are involved in our civic process. We all have to make sure that we are paying attention to what is happening, who represents us, and how your voice gets to wonderful, smart people like our esteemed panel here today to make sure that they can provide that input to, as Courtney said, the subject matter experts for that input. That is how your voice gets heard in situations like this. And thank you so much for everybody for being very calm, peaceful, and orderly, and not, throwing everything at these 3 folks, because they are delivering the information that we all need. So then that way you can hold your elected officials accountable for these types of questions that we may have.
And thanks again for your presentation. I'm not sure if you guys can speak to this, but can you talk about GDOT's policies on electric driving, self-driving vehicles. Is that something you guys can speak to? I know it's not part of this project, but
I don't have a lot of information about that, but I know that it is something that a lot of DOTs, including Georgia DOT, are working on. They've got it on the website, and there's some planning studies there. So I can look for that. If you want to jot that down, we can look for that and send you some links just to coordinate.
So that's great. Everyone, first of all, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you all. Everybody give our esteemed guests a hand, please. From the Georgia Department of Transportation. They came here to serve you all. And that's exactly what we do here, too, at the Riverside EpiCenter. We are here as a resource to our community to make sure that information like this gets to you. We do this Epic Talks Lunch and Learn series every third Tuesday of the month. It's a 1-hour talk, and please make sure that you look out on our social media, if you receive our newsletter on our website about the upcoming topics. Next month, we're going to get into a conversation about real estate and the state of housing. So be on the lookout for all the information coming up for that. I also want to tell you that today is Tuesday. If you remember at the beginning of the meeting, Dr. Boyd said that today is $2 Tuesday. We have $2 Tuesdays in the bowling alley this evening from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And of course, on tomorrow morning from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., I have Senior Bowl in the bowling alley also. Yeah, that's right. And then, of course, coming up this weekend, we have, on Friday, we have our Dance Flow Fridays. So come cut a rug with us Friday evening. That'll get started around 6 o'clock in the evening on Friday. And then on Sunday, if you have your classic car, exotic car, you like to tell your little fishtails about how fast you used to drive this car back in the day, come and do that for the West Side Car Meet. And then, of course, also we have our Epic Farmers Market on Sunday mornings into the afternoon as well. Anything else? Oh, yes. And of course, coming up in the beginning of May, for those of you who celebrate Cinco de Mayo, we will have some specials coming up in the bowling alley and our Epi Cafe for Cinco de Mayo. And thank you, y'all, for coming to the Riverside EpiCenter. Please do make sure that you follow us on everything social at Riverside EpiCenter, riversideepicenter.com. Of course, the DOT has all of their stay connected information here. You can pick it up on the leaflets that you already have there. And I think that covers it. Oh, good job. I did it. And you can hand that information here with all your questions and email communication. So you can get on the newsletter. You can hand that to Courtney or Chanel, and they will take that information for you too. Hey, everybody, thank you so much. Pat yourself on the back. Be so proud that you came here to put your best foot forward to make sure that we are a stronger community together, okay? I'm Corey Webb. On behalf of Dr. Christopher Boyd, our general manager here at the Riverside EpiCenter, we want to say thank you so much and have a wonderful afternoon.